Scandal star confirms his exit from the hit ABC series. The news hardly comes as a surprise to fans of the show, as Short was in the midst of his own real-life scandal, having recently been accused of threatening to kill his wife.
What happens when your favorite TV show is rolling smoothly, and then a face appears and suddenly everything feels off? Maybe it's a poorly written character, maybe it's backstage drama, or maybe the actor just didn't fit the vibe. We're not saying these black actors aren't talented. Many of them are. But sometimes the role wasn't right, the timing was off, or their presence sparked chaos that fans couldn't ignore. From plot-wrecking performances to behind-the-scenes disasters, here are the black actors that ruined your favorite TV shows. 1. Jussie Smollett.
Here endeth the lesson.
This lesson's only begun, son. You see, self-preservation is the very first rule of nature. It's kill or be killed in these streets.
When Empire first hit screens, Jussie Smollett's Jamal Lyon became an instant fan favorite. He was talented, vulnerable, and had a voice that could send chills down your spine. Fans loved that Jamal represented a more sensitive side of the Lyon dynasty, someone who wasn't all scheming and power-hungry like his father Lucius. But over time, people started noticing that something about Smollett's performance felt a little too polished. On paper, Jamal was supposed to be complex, a gay black man in the cutthroat world of hip-hop, trying to carve out his own identity. Yet fans often complained that Smollett played him too safe, too clean, almost like he was scared to let Jamal be messy. Even in heated confrontations with Cookie or Lucius, Jamal's reactions sometimes felt restrained, as if Smollett was holding back the rawness the role demanded. Things got worse when the infamous staged hate crime scandal broke in 2019. Suddenly, viewers couldn't even look at Jamal without thinking about Jussie's off-screen drama. People went back and rewatched episodes, saying his acting now came off as disingenuous, like he was acting in real life too. When Smollett was removed from the show, writers scrambled to fill the gap. Jamal was supposed to be central to Empire's legacy, but fans were left saying he never fully embodied the groundbreaking role that could have been career-defining. 2. Isaiah Washington.
He saved the guy's life.
Yeah, whatever. I want my $20 back.
Sorry. Bought everyone coffee to celebrate saving the guy's life.
Yeah, I want my $20 back.
It's not Tyler's fault you're a dirty, dirty stripper.
Dr. Preston Burke was meant to be one of Grey's Anatomy's most compelling characters, a brilliant perfectionist surgeon with a complicated love life. Isaiah Washington had the gravitas for the role, but many fans never fully connected with his portrayal. They said his delivery was often stiff, almost robotic, and that his chemistry with Sandra Oh's Christina Yang sometimes felt forced rather than natural. That was a big problem because Burke and Christina's relationship was supposed to be one of the show's emotional anchors. Fans wanted sparks, vulnerability, and real passion, but instead they got long, stoic stares and clipped conversations that felt more like business meetings than love affairs. Even in medical storylines, Washington's Burke could come across as too flat, especially compared to the emotional depth of Meredith, Bailey, or Derek. Then came the scandal, the infamous homophobic slur directed at T.R. Knight. That moment sealed his fate. Not only had fans already been lukewarm about his acting, but now they also saw him as the guy who brought unnecessary drama behind the scenes. By the time Burke was written out, many viewers admitted they didn't miss him much. In fact, some felt the show became lighter and more dynamic without Washington's stiff presence hovering over every surgical scene. 3. Janet Hubert.
Colin, you are not going to MacArthur Park tonight. In fact, none of you are going to MacArthur Park tonight.
Wait a minute.
Boy, do not test me.
Yes, ma'am.
There are 2 Aunt Vivians in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but ask any fan and they will tell you. The original Janet Hubert brought a fire and presence that the role desperately needed. Hubert's Aunt Viv was strong, intelligent, and not afraid to put Will in his place with a sharp one-liner or a stern lecture. And while many fans loved that, others complained that her portrayal sometimes came off as too strict, even a little intimidating. Hubert's Aunt Viv had an intensity that could overshadow lighter moments in the sitcom. Some fans felt that her acting didn't always mesh with the show's playful tone. In family dinner scenes or casual hangouts, her sharp delivery could feel like she was performing Shakespeare while everyone else was doing sitcom comedy. Her clashes with Will Smith behind the scenes didn't help. Viewers started picking up on the tension and saying it spilled onto the screen. When she left and Daphne Maxwell Reid stepped in, fans noticed a huge change. The new Aunt Viv was softer, more laid back, and blended into the sitcom vibe more smoothly. But while some people missed Hubert's fiery presence, others admitted that the show became easier to watch without her dominating energy. It's one of TV's most famous recast debates, and to this day, Hubert's acting style is seen as both her strength and her downfall on Fresh Prince. 4. Orlando Brown.
See anything you like, Chantel?
Yeah, the whole right side of the menu.
Let's see.
In Disney's That's So Raven, Eddie Thomas was the comic sidekick. Raven's loyal best friend who always found himself in hilarious situations. In the early seasons, fans loved Orlando Brown's energy. He had great comedic timing, and his goofy expressions were perfect for a kid's show. But as the series went on, viewers began noticing that Brown often leaned too heavily into slapstick and exaggerated acting. While Raven and Chelsea balanced their comedy with heartfelt moments, Eddie sometimes felt like a cartoon character. Fans pointed out episodes where his jokes fell flat or his delivery felt over the top. Instead of embodying a believable high schooler, Brown sometimes acted like he was in a completely different show. The problem wasn't that he lacked talent, it was that he rarely pulled back. After the show ended, Brown's public meltdowns and erratic behavior cast an even darker shadow on his character. Fans who rewatched That's So Raven said they struggled to enjoy Eddie's scenes the same way, knowing how far off the rails Brown had gone in real life. It's one of those cases where both the performance and the off-screen persona chipped away at the legacy of a beloved show. 5. Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard as Lucius Lyon was supposed to be the crown jewel of Empire. He was the ruthless, charming patriarch who built a music empire from the ground up. But while Howard definitely brought intensity, fans often criticized his performance for being inconsistent. Sometimes Lucius was magnetic, delivering cold monologues that gave you chills. Other times, Howard's mumbling and unusual line delivery left viewers asking, "What did he just say?" Howard has a distinct acting style, part whisper, part growl. And while it worked in certain dramatic scenes, it often made Lucius hard to take seriously. Fans joked online about needing subtitles whenever he launched into one of his long speeches about family and loyalty. Instead of embodying the powerful mogul that Lucius was meant to be, Howard sometimes made him come off as eccentric or confusing. Add to that his off-screen controversies, the lawsuits, the strange interviews about math theories, the domestic violence allegations, and it became even harder for fans to separate the actor from the character. Many viewers admitted that instead of watching Empire for Lucius, they tuned in for Cookie, whose fiery performances consistently stole the show. By the final seasons, Howard's portrayal of Lucius felt tired, and fans said he never truly embodied the commanding, larger-than-life figure the role demanded. 6. Monique.
You heard Samantha. I may not even be your real daughter. I have half a mind to call her. Oh, well, you got the half a mind part right.
When the Parkers first hit TV, fans loved Monique's over-the-top performance as Nikki Parker. She was loud, funny, and completely unforgettable. But as the seasons went on, not everyone stayed impressed. A lot of viewers began to feel that Monique's acting style was just too much. Nikki's constant yelling, exaggerated facial expressions, and endless chasing after Professor Ogilvy went from hilarious to exhausting for some fans. People expected growth in Nikki's character, maybe a little maturity, a storyline that showed another side of her. But instead, the same jokes got recycled again and again. Fans often complained that the show leaned too heavily on Nikki's obsession with Professor Ogilvy, which sometimes made her character feel one-dimensional. What could have been a layered sitcom mom sometimes turned into a caricature, leaving viewers wishing for more balance between comedy and heart. Another issue that fans noticed was how Nikki often overshadowed the other characters. While Countess Vaughn's Kim brought plenty of laughs and other supporting characters had potential, Monique's big personality tended to dominate every scene. Viewers felt like the ensemble cast never got the chance to shine because everything had to orbit around Nikki. So while Monique's talent and comedic energy made the Parkers popular, fans weren't shy about pointing out that her over-the-top performance and repetitive storylines held the show back from reaching its full potential. 7. Lisa Bonet.
It's about courtesy. Now I have to go to the bursar tomorrow.
Stevie, I'm sorry. I promise it'll never happen again.
Seems I've heard that before.
Well, one of these days it's going to be true.
Lisa Bonet's conflicts with Bill Cosby and the show's image requirements led to significant disruptions in both The Cosby Show and its spin-off, A Different World. The actress, who played Denise Huxtable, clashed with Cosby over her desire to take on more mature and edgy roles outside of the family-friendly Cosby universe. Bonet's appearance in the controversial film Angel Heart, which featured nudity and adult themes, created tension with Cosby, who felt it damaged the wholesome image he wanted to maintain for his show. The conflict intensified when Bonet became pregnant with her daughter Zoe while starring in A Different World, forcing the writers to make sudden changes to accommodate her condition. Cosby and the producers were reportedly unhappy with Bonet's pregnancy because it didn't fit with their plans for her character's college storylines. The situation became even more complicated when Bonet married rock musician Lenny Kravitz, whose image and lifestyle were very different from the conservative values promoted on The Cosby Show. These personal and professional conflicts led to Bonet being written out of A Different World after just one season, disrupting the show's original concept and forcing major storyline changes. Her departure required the writers to completely restructure the show around other characters and develop new relationships and dynamics. The controversy also affected The Cosby Show, where Bonet's character had been a fan favorite and central to many family storylines. Her reduced presence and eventual departure from both shows disappointed fans who had connected with her character's free-spirited personality and unique style. 8. Demond Wilson.
Mr. Sanford, in order for me to know what I have to know so I can get down to business, you will have to open.
Well, until I know what I have to know, the business stays closed.
Demond Wilson's temperamental behavior and frequent conflicts with producers made the later seasons of Sanford and Son chaotic and difficult to produce. The actor who played Lamont Sanford opposite Red Fox's Fred Sanford became increasingly demanding and argumentative as the show's success grew. Wilson reportedly felt that his character was undervalued compared to Fox's more prominent role, leading to requests for script changes and increased screen time. His disputes with show executives often centered around salary negotiations and creative control, creating tension that affected the entire production team. Wilson's temper and willingness to walk off set during disagreements caused filming delays and forced writers to quickly revise episodes to accommodate his absences. The actor's behavior became so problematic that it contributed to the show's eventual cancellation, despite its continued popularity with audiences. His conflicts with Fox also affected their on-screen chemistry, making some episodes feel forced and unnatural compared to the earlier seasons. The workplace drama created stress for guest stars and supporting cast members who had to navigate the ongoing tensions between Wilson and the production team. 9. Lorenz Tate.
Is that a threat?
I finally faced the truth about who you are, James. I should have called you Ghost.
Lorenz Tate's portrayal of Councilman Rashad Tate on Power became so intensely disliked by fans that it created a negative viewing experience for many longtime followers of the series. While Tate is generally considered a talented actor, his character was written as manipulative, corrupt, and self-serving, making him one of the most hated figures in the show's universe. The character's political scheming and betrayals frustrated viewers who felt that his storylines dragged down the pace and quality of episodes. Fans frequently complained on social media that Councilman Tate's scenes were boring and took time away from more interesting characters and plots. The character's survival through multiple seasons, while more popular characters were killed off, annoyed viewers who felt that the writers were keeping him around unnecessarily. Tate's political storylines often felt disconnected from the street-level drug trade that formed the core of Power's appeal, creating a disconnect that many fans found jarring. His character's romantic relationships and family drama were generally met with indifference or active dislike from the audience, who preferred the show's action and crime elements. The negative fan reaction to Councilman Tate became so intense that it affected discussions about the entire series, with viewers often citing his presence as a reason for their decreased enjoyment of later seasons. While this wasn't entirely Tate's fault as an actor, his association with such an unpopular character became a significant distraction from the show's other strengths and storylines. 10. Sherri Shepherd. Sherri Shepherd's controversial statements and frequent clashes with co-hosts on The View often brought unnecessary negativity and drama to the daytime talk show. The comedian and actress, who served as a co-host for multiple seasons, became known for making inflammatory comments about various topics that generated negative headlines and viewer complaints. Her conflicts with other co-hosts, particularly Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, sometimes became so heated that they overshadowed the topics being discussed and made the viewing experience uncomfortable for audiences. Shepherd's controversial takes on current events often put her at odds with the show's other panelists, creating tension that was visible to viewers and affected the show's chemistry. Her statements about various social and political issues sometimes contradicted the show's attempts to present balanced discussions, leading to confusion and frustration among longtime viewers. The drama surrounding Shepherd's comments often dominated entertainment news coverage of The View, preventing the show from being recognized for its more substantive discussions and interviews. Her departure from the show was accompanied by reports of behind-the-scenes conflicts and disagreements about the show's direction, adding to the negative publicity surrounding her tenure as co-host. 11. Damon Wayans Sr.
We're all good in there. Did you just... Huh? No. I'm gonna get something to eat. I'm famished.
The veteran comedian Damon Wayans Sr. turned what should have been a smooth television reboot into a workplace nightmare on Fox's Lethal Weapon series. Wayans, who played Detective Roger Murtaugh in the TV adaptation of the popular movie franchise, became involved in a highly publicized feud with co-star Clayne Crawford, who portrayed Martin Riggs. The conflict between the two actors created such a toxic work environment that it affected the entire production team and cast. Reports from the set described screaming matches, unprofessional behavior, and a complete breakdown in communication between the show's two leads. Wayans publicly complained about Crawford's behavior on social media, sharing videos and making statements that aired the show's dirty laundry for fans and industry professionals to see. The situation became so bad that crew members and guest actors reportedly felt uncomfortable working on the set, with some describing the atmosphere as hostile and unpredictable. Wyans's decision to make their personal conflicts public created additional drama and negative publicity for the show, which was already struggling to find its identity separate from the beloved movie franchise. The ongoing feud dominated entertainment news coverage of the series, preventing viewers from focusing on the actual storylines and action sequences. Fox executives were eventually forced to fire Crawford and bring in Seann William Scott as a replacement character, but the damage to the show's reputation was already done. 12. Kesha Night, Pulliam.
Believe me, I understand. It's a struggle for my wife and I, too. And this one here, changing majors every year.
Okay, thanks, Dad.
Former child star Kesha Knight Pulliam's transition to adult roles hit a major stumble during her time on Tyler Perry's House of Pain, where her performance left many fans feeling disappointed and frustrated. Pulliam, beloved for her role as Rudy Huxtable on The Cosby Show, joined the comedy series in later seasons but struggled to find her comedic timing and chemistry with the established cast. Viewers who had watched her grow up on television were shocked by how stiff and unnatural her acting appeared compared to her childhood performances. Her character interactions felt forced and awkward, disrupting the natural flow of comedy that the show had established in its earlier seasons. Fans took to social media to express their disappointment, with many saying that her scenes felt like they belonged in a completely different show. The rhythm and pacing of episodes suffered when Pulliam appeared, as her delivery style clashed with the improvisational and energetic approach that other cast members had developed. Her presence on the show became a frequent topic of negative discussion among longtime viewers who felt that her character added nothing meaningful to the storylines. The contrast between her wooden performances and the dynamic energy of actors like LaVan Davis and Cassie Davis was particularly jarring for audiences. Critics and fans alike noted that Pulliam seemed uncomfortable with the show's style of humor and unable to adapt to Tyler Perry's specific brand of comedy. Her inability to mesh with the existing cast chemistry created awkward moments that took viewers out of the viewing experience and made them question the show's casting decisions. 13. Gary Dourdan. The talented Gary Dourdan's personal struggles and legal troubles created significant distractions during his time as CSI Warwick Brown on the long-running hit series CSI Crime Scene Investigation. Dourdan's off-screen issues became increasingly problematic as the show progressed, with multiple arrests for drug possession and other legal problems that generated negative publicity for the series. His contract disputes with CBS executives created additional drama behind the scenes, as the actor reportedly made demands that the network felt were unreasonable given his legal troubles. The ongoing negotiations and conflicts affected the show's ability to plan storylines around his character, forcing writers to create backup plans and alternative plot developments. Dourdan's unpredictable availability due to court dates and legal obligations made it difficult for the production team to maintain consistent filming schedules. The actor's struggles with substance abuse became public knowledge through various arrests and court appearances, creating concern among fans and fellow cast members. His erratic behavior on set was reportedly noticeable to crew members and guest stars, affecting the professional atmosphere that the show had maintained for years. The combination of legal troubles and contract disputes eventually led to his character being killed off in a dramatic storyline that many fans felt was rushed and unsatisfying. The circumstances surrounding Dourdan's departure left a lasting impact on the show's dynamics, as his character had been an integral part of the Las Vegas crime lab team since the series began. 14. Tisha Campbell.
I'm a man, Gina. I'm gonna be all right. This is childish. I want you out. I don't even know why you're still here. Step! Step!
The incredibly talented Tisha Campbell's legal battle and personal conflict with co-star Martin Lawrence completely destroyed the positive atmosphere of the hit sitcom Martin during its final season. Campbell, who played Martin's girlfriend and later wife Gina, filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Lawrence that detailed inappropriate behavior and unwanted advances on set. The legal action created an impossible working situation where the two main characters could no longer film scenes together, forcing writers to use creative camera angles and body doubles to complete episodes. The show's final season suffered dramatically as a result, with Gina appearing in fewer scenes and the natural chemistry between the characters completely disappearing. Fans immediately noticed the change in the show's dynamic, as the romantic relationship that had been central to the series' appeal was reduced to awkward phone conversations and separate storylines. The hostile work environment affected other cast members as well, with Tommy Davidson, Tichina Arnold, and Carl Anthony Payne II having to navigate the tension between their co-stars. Episodes became noticeably less funny and more forced as the production team struggled to work around the legal restrictions and personal animosity. The media coverage of the lawsuit overshadowed the show's comedy and cultural impact, turning what should have been celebration of a successful series into a cautionary tale about workplace harassment. Campbell's brave decision to speak out was ultimately the right choice, but the timing and circumstances meant that Martin ended on a sour note rather than the triumphant conclusion that fans deserved. The final episodes felt hollow and incomplete without the central relationship that had driven the show's success for 4 seasons. 15. Darius McCrary.
Did I do that?
Former child star Darius McCrary's alleged behavior problems and reported conflicts during the later seasons of Family Matters created division among fans and cast members of the beloved family sitcom. McCrary, who played Eddie Winslow throughout the show's 9-season run, reportedly became difficult to work with as he transitioned from child actor to young adult. Behind-the-scenes sources described instances of unprofessional behavior, including arriving late to set and conflicts with directors over script changes and character development. His attitude allegedly affected the family-friendly atmosphere that had made Family Matters such a positive working environment in its early years. Fans began to notice that Eddie's character seemed less integrated into family storylines and appeared to be sidelined compared to other family members. The behind-the-scenes drama contributed to an already challenging period for the show, which was dealing with network changes and competition from newer family comedies. 16. Anthony Anderson.
My uncle took his diabetes medicine right in the vein. He said it makes you feel like you're flying.
I don't think that was diabetes medicine.
What else makes you play trumpet like an angel?
The usually likable Anthony Anderson found himself at the center of several off-screen controversies that occasionally overshadowed the positive message and success of his hit series, Blackish. Anderson faced renewed scrutiny when old sexual assault allegations resurfaced during the height of the Me Too movement, creating uncomfortable questions about his role as the patriarch of a family comedy. While the allegations were ultimately not pursued criminally, the media coverage created distractions during what should have been celebration of the show's cultural impact and award nominations. The actor's personal life became a source of tabloid speculation, particularly regarding his marriage and family relationships that contrasted with his on-screen persona as a devoted husband and father. Anderson's tendency to make controversial statements during interviews sometimes put him at odds with the show's carefully crafted image as a thoughtful exploration of modern black family life. His comments on social and political issues occasionally generated negative headlines that detracted from the show's positive reception and critical acclaim. Industry observers noted that Anderson's controversies never reached the level that would threaten the show's existence, but they did create unnecessary distractions during important moments like award seasons and milestone episodes. 17. Jeanette Dubois.
I feel like this is the beginning.
It smells more like the ending.
Jeanette Dubois will always be remembered as Willona Woods, the quick-witted neighbor from Good Times. She was funny, stylish, and had a sharp tongue that could cut through the Evans family troubles like a hot knife through butter. On screen, Willona brought lightheartedness to an otherwise heavy sitcom that often tackled tough issues like poverty and racism. She was that kind of neighbor you couldn't help but love, always barging in, always with a comment, and always dressed to the nines. But while fans saw her as an essential part of the show, Dubois reportedly felt like her role wasn't always given the respect it deserved. She wanted Willona to be more than just comic relief. She wanted her to have depth, to embody the realities of women living in Chicago's housing projects. But instead, she was often reduced to wisecracks and flashy outfits. Viewers who loved her still noticed that her scenes sometimes felt disconnected from the show's heart. Behind the scenes, Dubois often clashed with the producers and writers. She didn't like how the scripts leaned on stereotypes for laughs. In her view, Good Times was supposed to uplift and show strength, not keep reinforcing images of dysfunction. There were even reports that she got into heated arguments about how her character should act in certain episodes. And it showed on screen. Some episodes had Willona delivering heartfelt advice, showing real compassion, and almost taking on the role of a second mother to the Evans kids. In others, she was back to being the nosy neighbor with one-liners, and the inconsistency was jarring. Fans began to sense that Willona wasn't always written with the same care as other characters. Dubois' departure didn't just leave a hole in the cast. It made people realize how much she had been holding the show together even when she wasn't satisfied with the role. For many fans, it felt like Willona never quite reached her full potential, and the show was weaker for it. 18. Brandy Norwood.
Mo, it's the bomb! Yes, and it looks like it's already exploded.
When Moesha premiered in 1996, it was refreshing. It was one of the few shows at the time centering a young black girl in high school dealing with family, friends, and the roller coaster of teenage life. Brandy Norwood was already a music superstar, and her casting made the show instantly appealing. In the beginning, fans connected deeply with Moesha Mitchell. She was relatable, funny, and grounded. But as the seasons rolled on, Brandy's influence behind the scenes grew, and that's where cracks began to show. Brandy allegedly wanted complete control over how her character was portrayed. Scenes that might have made Moesha flawed, messy, or unlikable often got scrapped. For instance, there were reports of storylines involving Moesha's relationships being changed at the last minute. Fans began noticing that Moesha always seemed to come out on top, while supporting characters, like Kim or Nisi, had arcs that either got shortened or cut entirely. This creative tug-of-war between Brandy and the writers created inconsistencies in tone. Early episodes were warm, family-driven, and realistic. Later seasons? They felt like soap operas with sudden shifts and abandoned plots. Fans wanted to see Moesha grow and struggle like real teenagers do, but instead, it often felt like the character was untouchable. One of the biggest disappointments came with the series finale. After years of investment, fans were left hanging with unresolved cliffhangers, pregnancies, breakups, and unanswered questions. Many viewers blamed Brandy's behind-the-scenes influence for the messy ending. While Brandy was undeniably talented and charismatic, her desire to control the narrative meant that Moesha didn't always embody the real, flawed teenager people wanted to root for. 19. Columbus Short. Columbus Short had all the makings of a breakout star when he joined Scandal. Playing Harrison Wright, he was charming, loyal, and brought a sense of stability to Olivia Pope's team of gladiators. Harrison wasn't the loudest character, but his calm demeanor made him stand out. He was like the anchor in a storm, the one you could rely on when everything else was falling apart. But behind the scenes, Short's personal life was unraveling. Reports of domestic violence, substance abuse, and arrests began to overshadow his work. The headlines became so constant that fans couldn't separate the actor from the character anymore. Watching Harrison deliver passionate speeches about loyalty and justice while knowing Short was in legal trouble in real life created a disconnect. When Shonda Rhimes decided to write him out, it was abrupt and unsatisfying. Harrison was killed off-screen with barely any closure for fans. One day, he was part of the team, the next, he was gone. And that sudden gap left Scandal feeling incomplete. Harrison had been Olivia's moral compass, the character who reminded the group of their bigger purpose. Without him, the dynamic of the gladiators shifted, and many fans felt the show never fully recovered. People still talk about Harrison's exit as one of the most disappointing in TV history. It wasn't just about losing a character, it was about losing the balance he brought. Columbus Short had the talent, but because of his struggles, he couldn't embody Harrison long enough to see the character's potential fulfilled. Fans were left with what felt like an unfinished story. 20. Lorenz Tate.
He showed it to you?
Kinda. Looked like Italy.
Kinda?
What, Italy? Wow.
Is Italy like big?
Bro, aren't you Italian?
I know, I should know this stuff. All right.
Yes, Lorenz Tate, again. You see, Lorenz is an actor with an undeniable presence. From Menace to Second Society to Love Jones, he has proven he can take on complex roles and deliver. But when he joined Rescue Me, fans weren't convinced he fit the gritty world of post-9/11 New York firefighters. Rescue Me thrived on realism. The characters were flawed, raw, and often offensive, but that was the point. It showed the rough edges of firehouse life, the camaraderie built on trauma, and the dark humor used to cope. Tate's character, however, felt out of place. Instead of blending seamlessly with the crew, his storylines often felt disconnected, like they had been forced in rather than growing naturally from the firehouse dynamics. Fans voiced their frustration online. They complained that Tate looked too polished compared to the rough-and-tumble firefighters around him. His interactions with Dennis Leary's Tommy Gavin didn't carry the same authenticity as the rest of the cast. Instead of adding to the story, his character sometimes slowed down the momentum. Some critics even suggested Tate's addition was more about ticking diversity boxes than serving the story. That might not have been his fault, but it meant his character was never fully embraced by fans. For a show that prided itself on authenticity, his presence felt like a misstep. Lorenz Tate's talent wasn't in question, but in Rescue Me, he never embodied the gritty realism that made the show compelling. 21. Chris Rock. When Chris Rock was announced as a guest star on Empire, fans were curious. Could the legendary comedian pull off a dark, menacing role? He was set to play Frank Gathers, a drug lord so feared that even Lucius and Cookie Lyon trembled at the sound of his name. The build-up was perfect. Frank was talked about long before he appeared, creating an aura of danger. But when Rock finally showed up, many fans were left underwhelmed. Instead of a terrifying crime boss, what they saw was Chris Rock. His comedic timing and familiar mannerisms made it hard to buy him as a ruthless villain. The performance didn't exude menace. It felt like he was holding back a punchline. One of the most anticipated scenes was Frank confronting Cookie. It was supposed to be chilling, a showdown between two titans of the criminal world. Instead, fans on social media joked that it felt like the setup for a comedy sketch. The intimidation factor just wasn't there. The problem wasn't that Chris Rock can't act. He's shown dramatic chops in other projects. But Empire required a kind of unhinged, unpredictable villain energy that clashed with Rock's natural style. His casting pulled viewers out of the story because instead of seeing Frank Gathers, they saw Chris Rock playing a gangster. For a show that thrived on over-the-top drama and larger-than-life characters, this miscasting was a rare but glaring stumble.